Hi, my name is Debbie Komisak. I'm doing this video presentation on evidence-based practice, sample selection, and application. The first component of the research process is sampling dependent. It is important to the outcome of the study. It is not feasible to study an entire population. That being said, it is of utmost importance to have an exceptional sample of the population, the one that one is researching, in order to make the study most useful. Sample selections must be chosen in a purposeful manner. Doing so will help eliminate the research being one-sided or biased. If your research is a qualitative study, your intended outcome will be different than a qualitative study. Okay, if your research is a quantitative study, your intended outcome will be different than a qualitative study. In qualitative sampling, the subject is chosen by a process in selecting a person who the researcher feels would best answer the research questions. In a quantitative sampling study, the subjects are more widespread, and inclusion and exclusion standards are used. Also used is probability sampling. By using probability sampling, every person who may be chosen for the research has the same likelihood of being chosen. Other sample strategies are random sampling, and this is best used when wanting the research to be strengthened. Moving onward in the research method is the size and power. In a qualitative study, the quote, achievement of redundancy and saturation is the general standard, unquote, and that's from Trotter 2012. When the researcher finds that his or her outcomes are the same outcomes time and time again, and no new information is being obtained, it can be presumed that saturation has been obtained. In a quantitative study, the object is to determine the power of the sample size. You need an adequate sample size to determine if there are any differences. Therefore, a low power will cause the researcher not to find the desired results. Research needs to take into consideration many areas of the sample selection. The size of the sample produces more realistic results and minimizes the research to be a one-sided overview. That was from Hauser 2018, readings from her book. The neighborhoods that I found would best reflect a sample selection in Sentinel City was that I found when touring the city, the best neighborhoods to sample for geriatrics would be the Acer Tech Center, since the population of over 65 is the greatest in that city, and it is at 19.8%. Southeast Asians, I could only find that 3.7% of the total population of Asians are living in Sentinel City. I would probably sample the Nightingale Square section, since I found a Vietnamese family there by the name of the Pham family that were living there. I would sample the Industrial Heights section for poverty, that being because the median household income is $24,672,000, and people without insurance, health insurance, is 37.5%. Pediatric sampling would best be done at the Casper Park District, since they have a population of under 18 years old at 33.8%. For detailing interprofessional evidence-based practice program, I chose to decrease childhood obesity by diet and exercise program. I chose to have my program set up at the Parks and Recreation Center, where children can come and learn about healthy nutrition and participate in exercise activities that would be fun for them. I would research the children in the Casper Park section of Sentinel City, since this is where the highest population of children live. Being overweight as a child can be a detriment to their physical health and also their mental health well-being. They can be made fun of in school by their peers or bullied in school due to their size. I would have included in my research interdisciplinary professionals, including exercise scientists or exercise therapists, as they're sometimes called, nutritionists, and a child psychologist. I read a scientific study of multi-component obesity prevention interventions. This study combines education, environment, and behavioral activities. This type of program is led by professionals for coaching, support, and counseling. The study concluded strong evidence that multi-component interventions increase better diet choices among children. Therefore, it impacts the weight of the children to lose weight, and it also showed to improve their self-esteem, and that came from the journal of a journal article of multi-component obesity prevention interventions. Another evidence-based study of management of childhood obesity presented with a case of a 10-year-old boy who was very overweight. He was made fun of at school. He had no friends. His parents were concerned that his behaviors were declining. For this study, evidence from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey showed a rising amount of overweight and obese children. It also detailed that these children are more susceptible to psychological problems. Studies have shown that by age 6, a child can interpret messages from society that being overweight is not desirable, and these children can already have a maladapted image of themselves. They go on to conclude these children will suffer from heart disease, diabetes, osteoarthritis, and many more health problems as they age into adulthood. The study concluded that the earlier the treatment is started, the better is the outcome. The study followed the children for approximately 1 year. Each review of the children entailed the importance of diet and exercises and behavioral changes to decrease their weight and eliminate further weight gain. Findings concluded that a reduced calorie diet was more effective than not to diet at all. Physical activity was implemented and found that positive influence to the child to engage in the less sedentary activities was actually more effective than pushing them into physical activities such as sports. Behavior modification was more effective when paired with education. And lastly, parental input and family therapy sessions are better than treating the children alone. To have a positive outcome, the child must first be educated on caloric intake and healthy food choices. They need to know where they fit on the growth chart and the basal mass index. In the case of the 10-year-old overweight boy, he must be gauged to maintain his weight as he is not at his full growth potential, having not reached puberty yet. It is determined that a child of this age will grow into his weight if he does not gain any further weight. For a child over the age of puberty, you would encourage weight loss. Explain lifestyle changes to the children that are easy and accessible and could continue for a lifetime, such as walking and riding a bike, are also indicated for to lose the weight. Not everyone likes sports or wants to compete, especially when you're overweight and you may be embarrassed of your slowness or maybe inept at a sport, and that could also just hinder the children wanting to engage in an activity. It should be encourage physical activities that they will find sustainable. Also, just engaging in physical activity increases endorphins and makes one feel better about themselves. That study came from Walters, Elliott, and Edmonds, October of 2001. I would, in my program, I would, for Sentinel City, I would have an interdisciplinary approach, as I said, with the nutritionist, exercise therapist, and counselor, citing that this multidisciplinary approach to losing weight is more beneficial to the proven outcome to the children, to continue to lose weight or at least not gain any further weight if they're under the age of puberty. My PICO model would be as follows. My population is the pediatric population with the problem of childhood obesity. My interventions will be multidisciplinary approach to decreasing BMI by utilizing healthy nutrition, exercise, and counseling. My comparison would be children not being compliant with the multidisciplinary approach that I proposed. The outcome, my desired outcome, will be children losing weight, being more active than sedentary, and having an increased self-esteem by engaging in a new diet and exercise program. I will need to reassess the pediatric population by taking surveys of what food choices they are eating, how much they are losing, and how they feel about themselves. I may have to adjust the plan of care by re-educating them of good nutritional choices, decrease sedentary activities, and increase positive thinking to enhance my desired outcomes if I see that the children are not reaching the weight goals that we had hoped for. Thank you.